Again, may I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? The community chorus would like to, first and foremost, share a couple of acknowledgments. We'd like to acknowledge the Kennett Consolidated School District and the Unionville-Chadds Ford School District for their support of community chorus activities. And today, for the presence of quite a talented group of young people. And if you will, please give these youngsters your applause. We would also like to give a special acknowledgement to the Episcopal Church of the Advent for providing us with rehearsal space as we prepared for today's event. We're going to share two pieces of music with you this morning by the same composer, Moses Hogan, the late Moses Hogan. Died at a very young age, but provided us with some very stimulating and motivating music. The first one we sing for you today is called "We Shall Walk Through the Valley in Peace," and it seems appropriate as we think about the life of Dr. Martin Luther King and his adherence to peaceful activities. We think you'll enjoy the smooth sounds of "We Shall Walk Through the Valley in Peace." And the second composition reminds us of the words of Scripture, that we share our talents, that we don't hide our light under a lamp, that we hold it out and we share it with others. The composition is called simply "Hold Out Your Light." Ladies and gentlemen, the Kennett Community Chorus. And I am remiss for not acknowledging our accompanist today, Ms. Pam Eppinger, and soloist for "Hold Out Your Light" is Catherine Spencer.
While the choir is taking their seats, please, another round of applause for them. And as they say in my church, keep on singing, children, keep on singing. And now a very special part of our program is hearing the words of Dr. King again. And two very special people are here, and they will tell you more about what they will be reading for you. They are Reverend Dr. Anita Powell and her husband and attorney Marvin Powell, Esquire. Please welcome them.
Good morning. I'm about to read an excerpt from a letter written by Dr. King from the Birmingham City Jail. It was written after 8 prominent white Alabama clergy published an open letter in early January of that year, 1963. They called on Dr. King to allow the battle for integration to continue in the local federal courts and warned Dr. King that his nonviolent resistance would have the effect of inciting civil disturbance. And this is Dr. King's response. I'm going to read a part, and then my wife will follow a part. Anita. An excerpt goes like this. While confined here in the Birmingham City Jail, I came across your recent statement that called our present activities unwise and untimely. I think I should give the reason for my being here in Birmingham, since you've been influenced by the argument of outsiders coming in. I'm here because I and my staff have been invited to be here as part of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I'm in Birmingham because injustice is here. Just as the 8th century prophets left their little villages and carried their "Thus saith the Lord" far beyond the boundaries of their hometowns, and just as the Apostle Paul left his little village in Tarsus and carried the gospel to practically every hamlet and city of the Greco-Roman world, I too am compelled to carry the gospel of freedom beyond my hometown. Moreover, I am cognizant of the interrelations of our community and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We're caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow, provincial, outside agitator idea. Anyone who lives in the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere in this country. You deplore the demonstrations that are presently taking place in Birmingham. But I'm sorry that your statement did not express a similar concern for the conditions that brought this demonstration into being. But I'm sorry that your statement did not express concern for the conditions, again, that brought this demonstration into being. I am sure that each of you would want to go beyond the superficial social analyst who looks merely at effects and does not grapple with underlying causes. I would not hesitate to say that it is unfortunate that so many demonstrations are taking place in Birmingham at this time. But I would say in even more emphatic terms that it's even more unfortunate that the white power structure of this city left the Negro community no other alternative. Anita?
My friends, I must say to you that we have not made a single gain in civil rights without determined legal and nonviolent pressure. History is the long and tragic story of the fact that privileged groups seldom give up their privileges voluntarily. Individuals may see the moral light and voluntarily give up their unjust posture, but as Reinhold Niebuhr has reminded us, groups are more immoral than individuals. We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given up by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Frankly, I have never yet engaged in a direct action movement that was well timed according to the timetable of those who have not suffered unduly from the disease of segregation. For years now, I have heard the words, wait. It rings in the ear of every Negro with a piercing familiarity. And this wait has always meant never. It has been a tranquilizing thalidomide, relieving the emotional stress for a moment, only to give birth to an ill-formed infant of frustration. We must come to see with the distinguished jurist of yesterday that justice too long delayed is justice denied. We have waited for more than 340 years for our constitutional and God-given rights. The nations of Asia and Africa are moving with jet-like speed toward the goal of political independence, and we still creep at horse and buggy pace toward the gaining of a cup of coffee at a lunch counter. I guess it is easy for those who have never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait. But when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will, and drown your sisters and brothers at will, when you have seen hateful policemen curse, kick, brutalize, and even kill your black brothers and sisters with impunity, when you have seen the vast majority of your 20 million Negro brothers smother in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of an affluent society, when you suddenly find your tongue twisted and your speech stammering as you seek to explain to your 6-year-old daughter why she cannot go to the public amusement park that has just been advertised on TV, and see tears welling up in her little eyes when she is told that Funtown is closed to colored children, when you are harried by day
and haunted by night by the fact that you are Negro, living constantly at a tiptoe stance, never quite knowing what to expect next, and plagued with inner fears and outer resentment. There comes a time when the cup of endurance runs over, and women and men are no longer willing to be plunged into the abyss of injustice, where they experience the blackness of corroding despair. I hope you can understand our legitimate and unavoidable impatience.
Oppressed people cannot remain oppressed forever. The urge for freedom will eventually come clear. This is what happened to the American Negro. Sometimes some things within has reminded him of his birthright of freedom. Something within has reminded him that he can gain it. One day the South will recognize its real heroes. They will be the James Merediths, courageously and with a majestic sense of purpose, facing jury and hostile mobs and agonizing loneliness that characterizes the life of a pioneer. They will be the old, oppressed, battered Negro woman, symbolized in the form of a 72-year-old woman of Montgomery, who rose up with a sense of dignity and with her people decided not to ride the segregated buses and responded to one inquiry about her tiredness and her ungrammatical profundity. She responded this way: "My feet is tired, but my soul is rested."
And one day the South will know that when these disinherited children of God sat down at lunch counters, they were in reality standing up for the best in the American dream and the most sacred values in our Judeo-Christian heritage, and thusly carrying our whole nation back to those great wells of democracy which were dug deep by our founding fathers in the formulation and declaration of independence. Let us all hope that the dark clouds of racial prejudice will soon pass away, and the deep fog of misunderstanding will be lifted from our fear-drenched communities, and in some not too distant tomorrow, the radiant stars of love and brotherhood will shine over our great nation with all of their scintillating beauty. Yours for the cause of peace and brotherhood. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Are you guys feeling inspired? So am I. I was humbled when, my name is Robin Green Toller and I sit on the board. And I was humbled when Carol asked me to introduce our speaker. So one of the things I did was look for a couple quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King to inspire all of us in these times, and I think it's part of who he is. So I found these two quotes. "Let no man pull you low enough to hate him." Hold on to that, y'all. "Let no man pull you low enough to hate him." The other quote was, "If you cannot do great things, know that you can do small things in a great way." Bishop Dwayne Royster is, I don't want to call it a legacy, but when you review his lengthy bio, that you will see
like Dr. Martin Luther King, he's a man of faith and a man of action, which requires some political action and civic action as well. And I believe, again, looking at his lengthy I don't want to say legacy because I know his work is not done. And the work that he's done as being the National Political Director of People Improving Communities through organizations, the names of his organizations are long, called PICO. And going back further, earlier in his career, he was the executive director of POWER, Philadelphians Organized to Witness and Empower. There's a common theme with your work, that there's this notion in our great country that education, livable wage, affordable housing, and health care is not a luxury. It is a right in our country. So that speaks to who he is. He received his BS degree from Geneva College in Urban Ministry and Management. He also has received his attained his MA in Religion from the Lutheran Theological Seminary in Philadelphia. And behind every great man, there's a collection of ladies in his life, his wife and his two lovely daughters. With that being said, I am honored to introduce Bishop Dwayne Royston.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am deeply honored by the opportunity to come and be here with you today. I am so excited to have received this invitation from Carol Black, our president. Can we just celebrate Carol Black for a moment? Just the great leadership that she's providing. I have known Carol since I was 22 years old. I am not that anymore. I was the associate pastor at Camper Memorial United Methodist Church. I was appointed by Bishop Susan Morrison to be the associate to the Reverend Dr. Dorothy Tatum at the church, and we came in together, and Carol was the administrative board president while we've served there for 5 years. I have known her for a long time, her family. I was part of my responsibility as a youth group, so her daughter